Good afternoon. I graduated in 1970 between these two guys, or at least with Jeff and behind Pappy. And in thinking about a few words today, I thought I've seen a lot more than most of you over my lifetime. And so I'd like to talk mostly about how things have changed since 1966 when I arrived in Syracuse and today, and what you might want to think about in your lives going forward, because I've seen a lot over the years. I was a small-time lawyer dealing with real people who had problems, and I know what's up and what's down, and so I'd like to talk about that. When I was growing up, you probably had people give you advice where to go to college, what to do, this and that. The only advice I ever received my whole life was from my Uncle John, who was a Maine woodsman. And his advice was, don't work in a factory. And I've avoided that, but I'd like to give you a little bit of advice at the end of this. I came to Syracuse not knowing anything about the place. The only thing I knew was my sister, who was a little older, had a boyfriend, and he had a sweatshirt, and it said Syracuse on it. And he said the girls were friendly there. I said, that's my kind of place. And so I came. At registration, you probably were recruited long before you set foot on campus. I never knew anything about crew. At registration, across the door to the registration, they had an oar and a little sign that said, if beneath this oar you cannot walk, come see the coach and have a talk. And they signed you up. And 100 people showed up the first day out here. And it dwindled. The only thing that Coach Sanford ever said to me the first year that I was on the team was, hang in there, Peterson. That was my encouragement. Going on to where you are. College is largely the same. You're making some friends. You'll be surprised. The only friends 50 years from now you'll have from college are the people standing beside you. So you're going to know them, but you're not going to know, it's highly unlikely you're going to know anybody else that you graduated with. And a piece of advice is, some of you are sophomores, freshmen, juniors. There's a lot of things pulling on you to not do crew anymore. I've seen people who've done that, who have gone off and their senior year, or junior year and senior year, not rowed. And from my perception, they think of that as a big mistake in their life. If you can hang in there because it's going to pay dividends down the road. You have what everybody who's my age wants, your youth and your health and things, and you're going to have that for another 50 years, hopefully. Be happy with that. And your college experience, you don't understand how much it helps you. Because just down here, a couple years ago at the Tenec night, one fellow came up to me who I hadn't seen in close to 50 years. And he said, he was a coxswain, he said, you know, you really helped me, because he signed up on that sheet. He didn't sign up, but another guy, George Chapman, signed up on the sheet, and he didn't come out. And so the coach would have us go up into the dorms and grab people and try to get them to come out. I told George, you come out, you're going to meet a lot of nice, pretty women. They're going to like you. That didn't happen, but I was lying. But this other guy came up, and he was a little shorter, and he said, can I come out? I said, well, you're probably not tall enough to be an oarsman, but if you lost 5 pounds, you could be a coxswain, which he did, and he stayed on the team for 4 years. And when he came up to me, he thanked me, because he said, you know, but for that, I probably wouldn't have graduated. There's too many things. I had some financial problems. I wouldn't have stuck with it, but for that part of my life that was crew. Your future is, I don't know if you're going to the Head of the Charles this year, but when we went, we looked at it, and the thing that most people said was, there's guys here 70 years old that still can row 3 miles. Can you believe that? You'll be able to do that. I do that now, and you'll be able to do it. Enjoy your health and stay with some kind of exercise. You're going to have many other opportunities because you rowed in addition to rowing. The one thing, though, that I emphasize for every youngster I meet, and you're a little bit older than most of the youngsters I meet and give this advice to, but it still applies to you. There's only one thing that nobody can ever take away from you, and that's your education. Your house can burn, your wife can leave, all kinds of things can happen. But your education, and so going down the road, you're going to graduate in a couple of years, you're going to find a job, you're going to find different opportunities, but make time for more education, because that's the only thing that nobody can take away from you, and it will pay dividends. It does. I can swear to that. The other piece of advice I have, and I used to tell my employees this, that there's only one thing that you shouldn't do in this lifetime. Everything else, well, you shouldn't do a lot of things, but there's only one thing that you almost can never recover from, and that's when you don't tell the truth. Tell the truth, everything else can be fixed up. But if you don't tell the truth, you're going to get a reputation, and you're never going to miss that. You don't know when somebody who knows about you doing something bad is called upon for a recommendation. That's happened to me many times. And if they tell the people you're a good sport, you're solid, you're going to get the job, and many other things. Finally, my last piece of advice, you remember my uncle told me, don't work in a factory? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of different advice. And if you go home and you think about this advice, and that is, don't be a big shot, because being a big shot means you spend more money than you have, you do things you shouldn't do, you puff yourself up. That's gotten more people in trouble, sometimes irretrievable trouble, than anything else in life. You don't need it, and so don't go down that road. Thank you.